what he's talking about. He said someone's looking.
Gosh.
Oh!
My God.
No!
Poor Karen. Oh, man's leaks. That's aura there, though. Look at that shot. Man, that's aura.
That shot's incredible, but why? Oh no.
That's why you don't go inside.
Right.
You don't realize there's a creepy dude. There's a crazy dude.
And then why do you keep the doors open for, especially with this? Hi everyone, I'm the Idea Maker, and today I'm back again with my special guest, Real Hooper Knowledge, and we're here to react to the next episode of Daredevil Born Again, Season 1, Episode 5. Good to have you again.
Yeah, absolutely. It's an absolute blessing to be here. Absolute blessing watching with you and discussing with you. So yeah, this is gonna be a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And honestly, I cannot wait to see where we're going to be heading into this episode because, again, so to recap on what happened to last episode. So last time that we left off, unfortunately, somebody went and offed White Tiger, and it was one of the most horrific things to happen. And from that, Matt at this point is trying to investigate what's going on. And, as much as he wants to put on the Daredevil suit again, he's at this point where he doesn't really know what to do. And so he goes to one of our favorite characters, or my mom's favorite character out of the Defenders, Frank Castle himself, aka the Punisher, and that he's been hiding out for a little while. And Frank gives him, Matt, this teachable moment as to addressing as to whether or not he's doing this for himself, or he's doing it for New York, or is he doing it in revenge for Foggy's murder, which was one of the most unsettling things out of this series besides White Tiger's death. We end up finding out that Vanessa was having an affair with a guy named Adam, and we also see that Kingpin has been doing something inexplicably bad, that it seems like he's going a little bit more towards his mob boss side again. And then we get introduced to another villain, Muse, which I don't know if I should explain Muse, because to be honest, I did a little bit of research on him. I think that they might discuss it in the episodes, but I'm a little nervous because from what we've seen, and there's a lot of things that doesn't really align with any type of guidelines that YouTube has. It's going to be a little bit difficult to explain just because of how disturbing it can be. Let's just say, from what I've heard and from what I've looked up, is that Muse is a villain that he uses his victims,
Red stuff.
right, uses that to basically paint pictures of his victims. We won't get into explicit stuff on here, like I said. So again, even though that this is a TVMA rated series, Real Hooper and I, we both agreed that since this is more of like a family friendly channel, even though that we also, we do our own stuff on both of our channels, on here, we decided that there would be no content related to any violent, disturbing content, blood, sexual references, drug references, or swearing. So for YouTube, we're keeping that on the record. And there's also a warning before the episode reaction officially begins. So I don't know how much of this I have to censor on my end. I feel like, I don't know, from how it's going, would you say that maybe these episodes are going to start getting a little more to the disturbing side?
Oh, definitely. I have a great feeling about that. It's not even just with Muse. We also gonna have Punisher in full effect. I mean, I heard that he won't be in as much as we think, so he won't be there as much. But when Punisher is there in the action, it's just straight violence. So that's also gonna be a thing. Apparently, Fist is gonna have his Mortal Kombat type of like fatality in this season. So we should be expecting something violent like that too. So yes, I do think the violence is gonna ramp up a ton because the action has been very minimal. So this first half, so I'm betting 100% is gonna ramp up. And plus, Bullseye's coming back. I just have a feeling he's coming back.
Yeah, and honestly, I mean, like, do you feel like at this point they actually might go and be more disturbing than the original Netflix series that they're kind of picking up from?
Uh, I would. I mean, maybe because Muse is in play, and Muse is a disturbing character in its own way. He's probably the most disturbing Daredevil villain we have, based on what he does and why he does it. But I feel like in this case, I don't know about like if you're saying gore and brutality, I still give that to season one because season one of Daredevil was still like that was ruthless in terms of like the gore, the action, the brutality, the bone snapping, right? All that stuff. I'm expecting that in this show, but not to that effect. I think Disney has that little. Disney's gonna willing to be a little sanitized with some of the action still. So we'll
Mhm.
wait and see. But I have a feeling it won't be as gruesome. But I don't know. I mean, they've proven me wrong before, so we'll see if they do that again.
Yeah, especially with Deadpool and Wolverine, I know that they proved everybody wrong when they said, that when Disney bought Fox and then the X-Men universe ended up siding over to Disney, and then people were wondering what's Deadpool and Wolverine going to look like, or at that point, Deadpool 3, what is it going to look like, and how is it going to tie into the MCU of some sort? And then we got, I think, in my opinion, like I feel like Deadpool and Wolverine has its most gruesome moments than and like the first Deadpool movie, the second Deadpool movie. And I feel like even with Echo, we got that small little taste of it. And I think with Daredevil Born Again, I think that it's gonna be one of those moments where it's like it doesn't feel like anything at the moment, but I think that this is going to be the episode because this is episode 5 and it's a 9-episode season where this is going to be that turnaround to where it's going to ramp up so dramatically that you'd be thinking, are we watching the same exact show? Because this was kind of like how Loki season 2 was compared to season 1. You had different directors, you had different showrunners in a way. You had different directors and different writers, and it ended up making out to be one of the most amazing shows that's in the MCU. But it's turned so dramatically in season 2, like it felt like its own series. And honestly, as I was discussing with my mom before I ended up on here, honestly, and I will safely say this, and this might be one of those big outdated statements, I think Daredevil Born Again ended up becoming my favorite series out of all the MCU just because of how it just ties in with to all these different talks that you can have about politics, about religion, about morality, and about just where you want to be at in a world that can have a life that's full of chaos and sadness and anxiety, and where us as individuals can be able to realistically go in situations like this. So I'm just going to put it out there. And
Amen to that. Yeah, it's a lot of fun to talk about, especially with having adult conversations about these type of different aspects to these characters. These characters they're not playing around. They're dealing with some real stuff that they have to overcome, or if not, they have to evolve into that nature. And it's gonna be really interesting to unfold that within these next few episodes.
mhm, I absolutely agree. And with that, shall we go ahead and dive right in?
Let's get it.
Let's do it. All right, this is going to get interesting, especially because I feel I don't know why, but I think that
Oh,
Vanessa and Kingpin, they're gonna work against each other.
yeah,
I
there's a
just have this
feeling
weird
about
feeling.
that. Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. They went straight to the intro. Not even like cold open. They just went straight in.
It's kind of like how the Netflix one was as well. Like, cause they used to have just the intro and then just go straight right into the episode with I think They mostly did it for, I think, Jessica Jones.
Oh yeah. Jessica Jones. I don't remember watching most of it, but some of it.
Yeah, I know that for her show, they definitely had this introduction, no cold open, and they just played the rest of the episode. So it is interesting that this time we're not getting anything. I'm wondering if this is because they're going to do some sort of Netflix style opening to make it feel like we're in that Netflix era again, but we're also blending it in with Disney style.
That would be the case. We'll see. I mean, I heard this episode has a big cameo, so I'm expecting that.
Oh, let's see. Were those the Irish or the Scottish?
I have no clue. I think that was Irish music.
I feel so bad for not knowing the difference.
I have no clue, to be honest, either. I feel terrible.
Because I was gonna say this is gonna be like the season 2 opening. Oh, look at that! There's a Funko Pop and Miss Marvel
Mr. Aldrich, thank you so much.
on the table.
Short notice.
Hate to disappoint you, Mr. Murdoch, but Mr. Aldrich has had a bit of an emergency this morning.
Oh, that's why! Oh, Kamala's dead!
Mr. Aldrich told me to look into your loan application this morning, which have had the... wearing green today, Mr. Murdoch.
Green.
He's gonna get pinched.
Uh-oh.
I tend to prefer more neutral colors, less likely to clash.
You must be careful, though. A leprechaun might pinch. Candy?
Her dad is so great, honestly. Kamala's dad is so great.
Excuse me, apologies. My daughter, Kamala.
Oh,
Oh!
there she is.
Visiting some friends there in La La Land, as they say.
Visiting friends in California?
Jersey City.
Jersey City. Well,
Wait, is that a Young Avengers thing?
Maybe.
The only person that I know in that area, it's La La Land. So that's LA. I'm wondering if that's like She-Hulk.
Miss Marvel.
Yes!
Oh yeah.
I'm not sure I'm familiar.
This is her. Right here.
That's
Custom
cool.
designed Funko in her honor.
Huh.
Matt
can't
can
see.
see it.
If we get Kamala in this series,
We will.
Lose
We
it.
probably will.
I will lose it. I will lose my mind. I love her.
Mr. Khan, if I may. Have you ever needed a defense attorney?
Me? No, thankfully not.
Well, if you ever do, it's often David versus Goliath.
Yep.
The cops, the prosecution, public opinion, the entire system conspiring against you.
Amen.
We may be over-leveraged for now, but we serve a vital function in a city that desperately needs us.
That's right. You tell him.
Exactly.
Your compassion.
My favorite lawyer.
Yeah, exactly.
Very qualities that make you an excellent defense attorney, Mr. Murdoch, but unfortunately, they're the same reasons that you do not meet New York Mutual's criteria for approval.
Ooh.
That's tough.
Certainly my system.
So true. Oh, man. Oh, no. Wait. They're having a yellow mask on. Is that like a Iron Fist thing? Or maybe I'm
Maybe.
overthinking it.
They're just yellow pants.
Oh,
Dang.
no. I hope nothing happens to Kamala's dad. I hope not. I hope that he's okay in this. I like... Oh! Oh! Oh!
Dang, they're ruthless.
If we get an audio cameo from Iman Vellani herself as Kamala, that would be amazing.
I think he said we didn't meet the bank's loan criteria.
Well, that's not good either.
He's gonna hear.
Blind him or pat him down. Check the offices.
Oh no. Get down! Oh no. Oh no!
Now!
Have you noticed that the color scale changed? Like before the robbers came in to after?
Oh yeah. I mean, I think that's based off the.
Hey!
That's based
Hey,
off
go
the
on.
lights
Yeah.
turning off.
True. That's still pretty good.
Hello? Sorry, what's happening here?
Playing dumb.
They calling him Stevie Wonder, really?
Mr. Khan?
What are you doing here? I thought you'd already left.
Probably should have.
Like, he was there for a reason. I love how they're just focusing on them like that, like if he's like seeing it in his mind's eye.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, it amplifies his hearing so well to help him to see like a good visual picture.
This can go a couple of ways. You stay where you are, you keep your heads down, keep your trap shut, you stay out of our way, and we'll stay out of yours. Easy. Everybody goes home, and everybody has a wild story to tell.
You kill anyone and your armed robbery charge converts to a felony murder.
Oh.
You take it.
He could definitely take it. He had a building dropped on him before. He could handle this.
Where's the bank manager? I need to see a Mr. Stephen Aldrich.
Is he going
We
to
have a
speak
blind
up?
man, do we have a deaf one as well?
Oh, jeez. What is... Oh, the cops. Oh, that's right, because he told Kirsten to call 911.
You work here, right?
Yes, sir.
What's your title, Yusuf Khan?
Title? Assistant bank manager. Assistant.
Assistant bank manager.
That's right, sir.
Where's a non-assistant bank manager?
Actually, he's had a bit of an emergency this morning. He won't be in for a couple of hours.
We got the cops in here.
Yeah, they got the cops, all right. I wish I could do a good Irish or Scottish accent, but it's just gonna sound like if I butchered up Shrek.
Someone must have triggered the alarm before we got in.
Before we got in? How could they have known we were coming?
Hey, none of that matters. Eyes on the prize, right? We do what the boss told us to do, and we go to Plan B.
Plan B.
Aye. You stay with the hostages. I'll handle the cops.
Why does this dude kind of look like Colin Farrell?
Colin.
And it's funny because he was Bullseye in the Ben Affleck movie.
Oh man. I know Colin Farrell's in everything now.
And then he might be in the new Sergeant Rock movie for DC Studios.
I know, that's crazy. Like, can you imagine double dipping? That's crazy.
That would be nuts. Double dipping in DC. Oh, that would be wild.
Rodriguez.
Oh, the other detective, I think.
Was that the girl from the first episode?
That's what I was wondering. I think it is.
Only way this ends is with you in handcuffs or a body bag.
Let's try to avoid the ladder then, shall we?
Nothing would make me happier.
Good. Let's start with 3 armored APVs in. Parked right out front.
You sure you'll be needing that many seats? From what I understand, your crew isn't that big.
Is it for the hostages?
Yes.
Quite possibly.
My job is to rob the bank, right? Your job is to prevent every hostage inside the bank from getting a bullet to their head.
I know it's Kingpin. This whole entire thing is Kingpin. There's no doubt.
Kingpin or Vanessa is running it.
That's right. I do keep forgetting that, but honestly, at this point, it's like they kind of blended in terms of just the mob and everything. Like it always feels like it's Kingpin, but then it's like it's her crazy diabolical ideas too. So at this point, it's like we'll see.
Definitely.
My husband, please, please.
Just let him take my place.
Huh.
I said let him take my place.
This isn't a debate, solicitor. But thank you for the
Just because I'm
suggestion.
blind doesn't mean I need your pity.
Ooh. Oh, you're not gonna like him when you get a left hook.
I'm not letting you go. I'm getting rid of you.
That's understandable. All I know is you're offering me a chance to save myself, which I appreciate. What I'm saying to you is, give it to the woman's husband.
Is that what you're saying to me?
Yeah, that is what he's saying to you.
A blind solicitor and hold for it, an orphan? Are you serious? You're like a regular wee Charles Dickens character, aren't you?
They give this man the toughest battles.
Oh, he definitely did.
Unlock it, let him out. Careful what you wish for.
Oh, jeez.
Cut!
Sir.
On your feet. You're up.
Matt's just calculating a plan at this point. Like, he's got that face of like, keep it coming, keep it coming. Don't worry, you guys are gonna be really making a mistake, and it's gonna be one that you're gonna definitely remember.
What are you still doing on your feet?
What's going on here? On your knees.
I'm sorry, guys. I need to go.
Should have taken your chance when you had it, Stevie.
No. To the restroom.
Anyone else for the loo? Tell him I'm taking the solicitor here to the gents.
At least they were nice enough to get. Oh, I was gonna say at least they let him do so, but thank God I didn't finish my statement.
I thought they'd make him piss his pants.
I mean, they're crazy, so who knows what they could or would want for him to do.
There's a door on your left. Move. Open it.
Oh, this is where he's gonna start. He's gonna start here.
Hurry up.
Uh-oh, here we go.
Before I shove this down your throat, yeah?
Please, I have family.
No.
Hurry up.
He's gonna hit him. I feel it.
He's gonna do it. Oh. Oh! Oh!
Actually, could I please request if you could get me a snack? Just a granola bar, or maybe a banana would work wonders for my nose.
You want to see that family of yours? Open the bloody door.
Is Matt gonna cross the line? Oh. Oh, nice catch!
Wait, have we passed the first of the month already? Because the bank changes the combination of the vault on the first Tuesday of every month. What day of the week are we in?
Enough!
Please, don't shoot me.
You've been lying to us this whole time, haven't you? If you know the correct combination, then I'm the King of England.
Let's go!
What's your status?
Has to be.
What's your status, lads?
Wait.
I needed the bank manager to be sufficiently motivated to open the vault.
No way!
We're almost in.
No way!
That's just Charlie Cox, man. Charlie Cox did that.
He's British, right?
Yeah, naturally.
Okay, because like that, just going from that to Irish and then back to American, dude, this guy really is a great actor.
Nah, he one of the best. One of the best performances, superhero performances out there.
Mm-hmm.
You can't just crack it open like it's a piggy bank I gave Kamala to instill in her the value of saving.
But Matt is not an ordinary lawyer. Hmm. Oh, that's cool!
Oh, that's satisfying.
That's so satisfying to watch.
Exactly what kind of a lawyer are you?
A really good one.
Yes, he is!
Let's make this interesting.
Oh, no.
Exactly 3 minutes to think of a joke. If you can make me laugh, I'll give you 3 more.
What is this, the Joker?
Must be our lucky day.
You're telling me
There we
none
go.
of you know a good joke.
Was it true what you said upstairs, Mr. Murdoch, about being an orphan?
My father died when I was just a boy. I never knew my mother until much later in life.
I'm sorry, that must have been difficult.
Where is his mother, in fact?
I hope that they bring her back.
Yeah, I mean, she's a pretty big part of Matt's life.
Mm-hmm. If they show her, that'll be awesome.
I have a feeling they will.
What's in there? Is this gonna be like Seven or Pulp Fiction? Oh, at least we see what's in there.
What is
Whoa.
that?
That's one impressive diamond.
That's a
This
diamond?
is-
Sure.
It's like a stone or
Pretty
something.
high in stone for a bunch of rough Irish robbers.
I
Yeah.
heard the leader mention a boss. I think they're working for someone.
That already is assuming fists.
Yep.
Tell them to take up positions on the perimeter.
Captain, you storm that bank right now. Innocent people will be caught in the crossfire.
Innocent people are already caught in the crossfire. Prepare to advance.
Oh, jeez.
I don't like this.
Behind you.
Stop right there! How did you get up here?
You're asking the wrong question. We're running out of time. You need to be thinking about your next move.
Hands up, both of you! Now!
No. You let these people go now, while you still can.
What are you talking about?
When was the last time you spoke to the hostage negotiator?
Oh.
In a while, right? That's because the police are no longer negotiating.
Well then, solicitor. Maybe I need to convince him I'm serious.
Oh, no.
You and I both know you didn't come here to kill anybody. You came here looking for this.
Oh, mic drop.
5.
Or
This
I
is
just
not gonna
shoot you in
end
the
up
head
well, I
and
feel.
take it from you. You have no leverage, son.
You have no time.
I am going to give you 3 seconds before I put a bullet in your head.
They're going to count down at the exact same time.
2.
1.
Here, catch him.
Exactly. Oh, no. This is going to end up being very messy.
There you go.
Go, man! Uh-oh. There he goes walking off.
Got this, DeLuca.
Oh! Oh, that shocked me. That one.
Shit, an inside man the entire time.
Wow. I did not see that coming at all.
I need to see the medic.
This guy was a hostage. He's with us.
Bottom of the steps.
Thank you, sir.
He loves using that blind card.
Mm-hmm. And it's a valid one, too. Honestly. It's such a valid use. Uh-oh. Oh! Oh, geez. I think I know where this is heading.
Oof.
Oh!
Ooh.
Oh, jeez. Oh!
Ooh.
Oh! 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 Oh!
Get him.
He got him all right.
Get that girl.
Wow!
What do you think happened?
I think you were right. They must have had a boss.
Mm-hmm.
Someone inside the bank.
Very strange. Still, I always believe things happen for a reason.
Kamal's gonna come right now, but I'm betting.
Yeah. Or his wife and the brother.
Perhaps we can brainstorm on ways to make your firm more profitable.
Oh!
With my family.
Oh! Maybe you're right. Imagine if they show her using her abilities. Ooh, this series is going to be so much better. Maybe that might be in the next episode. Who knows? But,
Oh, he put the diamond in there.
oh! Yo! That was such a great way to end this episode.
There might be a credit scene. I have a feeling. No, they won't. Never mind, it's not a credit scene.
Yeah, there's none. All right, let's call it there, and let's go into the discussion part of this reaction right now. All right, that was episode 5. Honestly, this was so great. And you know what? I honestly think this is probably why they did a 2-episode release for this, because I feel like, yes, this was a good episode, and I feel like a lot of people are going to be like, this wasn't the best because it was just only one solid, just one area. But honestly, I think that's what made this episode pretty unique, because it was in only one specific area. And I think I'm wondering if this was one of the original episodes that they had before they did the revamped version of Daredevil Born Again. But honestly, this was incredible. This whole entire thing was incredible. Let's start with you about what you thought about this episode.
Yeah, definitely. So when I was first getting into this episode, my expectations were actually pretty low because I heard from many people who've watched the series already that said like episode 5's the weakest episode and it's pretty filler for the most part. But from what I'm getting at, I thought I had a good amount of fun. It was the robber stuff. I mean, the characters aren't that like fleshed out, but they're all right. They have a central focus, and it felt like a bottle episode. Where you really focus in on this main incident, basically a bank robbery, and I feel like, it was a lot of, it got pretty intense at some points, and yeah, there's little twists and turns here and there, and you can tell like there's like, there's little they're trying to maneuver around all of this to get to the big goal, and yeah, I feel like it's a very interesting episode. It was a lot of fun to see Matt in action. He was actually in action for a good amount. We haven't seen that in the past couple episodes, so this was fun to see. And honestly, it was. I was really expecting Kamala at the end. I'm like, okay, we might see Kamala Khan because they said that Kamala might disappear, so she might come in next episode. If not, that's okay. I'm just glad that she's mentioned. So yeah, I feel like that's a good amount of fun, and I feel like you know, uh, my expectations are actually surpassed this episode. So yeah, a good amount of fun with this episode, and I can't wait for the next episode.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly feel like because I never really pay attention to a lot of the critics on what they say about what episode's the best one, which one's the weakest or the worst one. But honestly, I think I really like this episode because of how they really gave this hostage situation a full rundown of what could possibly happen. And they did it in such a way where it didn't feel boring, it didn't feel rushed. It felt like the right amount of a flow that it was just very, very believable. And I feel like,
Hmm.
honestly, this was one that I think that maybe if they really did, they might have been able to have filmed for a whole entire day, and they did an incredible job doing so. I think that while a lot of people might not consider this one of their favorites, it's honestly one of mine just because that I love the fact that they're now tying Daredevil into the bigger MCU now, and they
Hmm.
really are starting to bring him into where all the other heroes are at, especially now that we got Kamala and her dad Yusuf and that they're being mentioned, and then his wife is mentioned. I'm surprised they didn't mention the brother, which maybe they will. Maybe they will mention him. And honestly, I thought that he got married because that they never brought his wife into the Marvels because they only just showed just the four of them when Monica and Nick Fury went over to Kamala's home over in Jersey. So like I'm wondering if they wrote her character off or she couldn't make it or I have no idea. But other than that, I mean, I love the fact that they really are blending in these characters. Like you're now really seeing them interact with each other in ways that you would have wanted to see in the Netflix one, but because of the licensing agreements and because of all these other different things that were blocking them, I feel like with Disney now having the rights to the Defenders and with Daredevil, I think it's such a great step forward on being able to bring these characters into a new environment, especially because I feel like this is a TVMA rated series and it is going to feel weird on seeing possible other characters from TV 14 and TVPG shows and PG 13 movies within the MCU and then tying them into a TVMA rated series. Kind of like how it felt a little weird when they brought Hunter B-15 from Loki into Deadpool and Wolverine. It felt really
Yeah.
weird at first, but honestly, I'm liking that they are really and truly starting to blend these different perspectives and these characters all together in a way that it doesn't feel like if it was just placed there because of a cameo reason. It was this time, this was placed there for a good reason, and it feels natural, especially because that we not a lot of the times in a lot of superhero movies or shows we see things from a civilian standpoint because at this point, like Matt was being Daredevil, but he was being Daredevil as a civilian, which is what makes this one of the best episodes out of here, because we're finally seeing more of a civilian's point of view, because we kind of saw that in Spider-Man Homecoming in some ways with damage control, when Adrian Toomes and the damage control team was having to clean up the big mess from the Battle of New York, and when Tony Stark's people from Upper Division, when they were going to take over, or because that they were kind of like part of the damage control, that they said, you know what, it's time for you guys to lay back, because we're going to be taking over from here, and it's more of like a government issue now compared to just damage control. Then, you know, we're seeing things from there from civilians' point of views, and I like that we're starting to see things more in civilian point of views, just rather than seeing things from a superhero's point of view.
Yeah, amen to that. Honestly, it was just really cool to see the really grounded level of like this entire show. Like they really focused in on this bank heist and only this bank heist. We didn't get back to Fisk. We didn't get back to, with Matt's girlfriend. It's really just focused on this and solely this. And I feel like for people who watch this week to week, it would be kind of disappointing. Like, oh, why would this episode be the only episode, right? Like, why would you show this episode once? So, it's glad that we're getting another episode to, get back to the full picture. But, this episode's a nice palate cleanser. It's an episode that really sets the tone of not Netflix's, not Netflix's Marvel, but, focuses on the grounded area of, Matt Murdock's life. He's going to experience some of this one time or another, and it's still loosely connected to the overall plot, but it's just fun to see, Matt going on his little side quests. He was just literally at the bank just for for a little loan. So it still felt really, really grounded and still true to the story and still true to the tone of Daredevil.
Yeah, I honestly really agree with that. And the other thing that I really like about it too is that this was like a David and Goliath situation in a way, because like when he mentioned to Yusuf about how when lawyers they go in and they go in court and they have to represent their client regardless of if they actually were the guilty verdict or the guilty party or not. I mean, like, it literally is a David and Goliath situation. I mean, from a point of view as to, how you have these different things that happen regardless of where things are at, regardless of politics and society and social norms and in economic statuses. I mean, you always have someone who's going to always be bigger than you, to the point where it's like you have the little person like David, who when at that point during where the Philistines were really, at their high point, and they had Goliath because he was a giant that he was able to conquer enemies and be able to, they had this brute force that they were able to take over different lands and different kingdoms and, overthrow people at that point, with David being this smaller person that solely relied on the Lord while being a shepherd and having to, help tend to his flock and to his family, and with the help of God was able to take, Goliath down with a slingshot and a rock, which, instantly, killed him right on impact. And that's where I know that's where the phrase "the bigger they are, the harder they fall" came in. That saying came in because of it. And honestly, with this, it was such a David and Goliath situation of how there were so many different things that could have happened in this bank heist where it could have all went south. It could have all went wrong. And another thing that could have also happened too, because honestly, I wasn't expecting that one civilian that from different points of views, maybe you might not have caught this, but in a weird way, she kind of looked like she was dressed and looked like an adult Dora the Explorer because of the jacket and the clothing, and it just felt like that right off the bat. Much more worse for everyone on their end, but luckily it was handled in a way where, yes, it was an intimidating situation that it shouldn't have happened, but honestly, Matt handled it pretty well and everybody handled it well, and it was definitely a David and Goliath situation. And I always see that Matt is like the David of this series, of how, King David during his time, he went through a lot of trials. He went through a lot of tribulations as well, that even to the point where, if I remember this story in the Bible correctly, because my grandmother would bring me up on the word a lot, that King David was in love with a woman who her husband was in his army, and when his army went to go to war with some other country or with some other kingdom, he put her husband on the front line so that way he would get killed, so that way he would be able to be with that woman. And it was at that point that God punished him for that, and that that his only son that he had, God, took him from him, and that David fasted for a while, asking the Lord for forgiveness and knowing that, he shouldn't have done what he did. And honestly, Matt, with him, it's like he's asking for forgiveness for God. And I see it on his face, and I can see it from his hesitation on thinking, Lord, I'm so sorry that I'm going back to the way that I was, but I just can't help it because I see so many, or I hear, sheesh, now I'm going at it. But like, it's like I'm hearing this situation that's happening. I'm hearing that there's people in trouble, and you blessed me with that, even though that sometimes that a different person might think of it as a curse, like how I sometimes do. And I don't understand what your plan is. And I feel like I need to be able to take this situation and help these people out. And while you are the judge and the jury, and you're the one who's going to be judging us in the end, I feel like I'm taking your job away, and I'm sorry about that. And I can definitely see it from that point of view. And it's like he is the David in that situation because of it. And Goliath in this situation is definitely Kingpin, because at this point he is the biggest thing at this point, and everything's going to tie back to Fisk. It's going to tie back to Vanessa, and then I know that a lot of this is also going to tie into Poindexter and into Muse. And I have a feeling, for whatever reason, I feel like Muse is this Irish guy. For whatever reason, I just have this weird feeling. Maybe I'm completely wrong, because I don't know much of Muse. I don't read the comics, but I just have this weird feeling that it's him. I know that in the comics it's a different person from possible in a possible way, but with the MCU, they've changed their characters. So maybe I am right, but we definitely have to see where this is going to head and where it's going to go to. I just love this whole journey that we're taking from beginning to end, and it just feels like a natural direction that it's going in. Matt talking about how lawyers are definitely in a David and Goliath situation. It just feels like this whole entire series has always been a David and Goliath story, but just given the Marvel twist, but it's not doing it to disrespect David and Goliath, but it's and not just trying to disrespect the Bible, but it's doing it in a way where those who they were deeply rooted in the word, they can be able to relate it spiritually, they can be able to relate it to the world, and be able to get God's message across, while also being able to tell a brutally honest and brutally realistic story that it definitely captures a lot of what we think and how we feel, and how it can definitely affect us and relate us in more than one way possible.
Amen to that, man. Honestly, that's one thing I really respected about Daredevil in the original series is that you know the way how they handled religion and how they basically handled like that entire aspect that most people don't really want to touch on because sometimes religion can either come off as too forced, too preachy, right? And people don't want to be preached at, especially when you're watching a TV show. I think same thing for everyone, But the way how this show handles religion, they handle it with grace. They give it a lot of substance. They give it to these characters who, you know, like the characters believe in it and they believe in it wholeheartedly. It's not like it's a out of disrespect. It's not like they're constantly berating us with their beliefs, but that's what they hold on to and that's what they hold dear to. And for Matt especially, it's it's to see how these beliefs really shape him into the man he is, and that's what has really helped him really throughout his entire life. With believing that there's grace and there's a lot of moving parts to that, and giving grace to yourself and allowing grace to be to just have it, because it's just tough and doing it on your own and doing it with this martyr complex and just doing it for your own gain. It just doesn't work. Matt tried that in season 3, and he's gonna keep trying it, especially in Born Again, where he feels like he's just gonna keep working at it time and time again, even though he knows that and deep down in his beliefs, he knows that he can't. He can't do it on his own. And I feel like that's what's really interesting with how they handle religion here. And yeah, it's just really fascinating to see Matt go through this religious journey without explicitly saying about his religion.
Yeah, and honestly, I do get happy of the fact that at this point, like it really makes me happy that at least they took the initiative to try to bring in something like Christianity and Catholicism to Marvel, especially when it comes to Matt, who, he's literally a character that he dresses up as someone as the enemy that you would think that someone who's dressed up as the enemy of all enemies is gonna, it's gonna be a villain. And
Mhm.
it's such irony, and it's such interesting poetic justice, especially with the creators of Daredevil, because of how, it's like how with everything, there are those that we cannot judge a book by its cover, and having to judge Matt right off the bat and thinking, oh, he's dressed as the devil of, and it's a very sensitive thing, and he's going to bring chaos like how the enemy brings chaos to every single person, and he ends up being like this actual superhero, this vigilante that is in not only in Hell's Kitchen but also everywhere in New York. And it's at this point that he's expanding on it, and it's like he's become more of a moving force with the vigilante community over in New York City, and it's big, it's a big old thing, and it's such a great ironic twist to where it's like something that it looks bad, but it's actually good compared to, Kingpin, that he's like the biggest wolf in sheep's clothing, where this wolf not only just wants to eat the sheep, but also wants to eat the main shepherd, like the shepherd of it all, and the one who runs the farm. And he's not just some power hungry person, but he wants to make a statement. And that's what this series does so well, is give the idea, like you said, that it's not preachy, it's a fluid and normal conversation. And if I may, because when on your Discord server, if I may mention this, on your spoiler talk on Daredevil Born Again, and if I could be able to also give a shout out to you, and a shout out to the Discord user, the Matt Cineflick. Both of you guys were discussing about how the way how you and I are talking about, different concepts of, of Daredevil, but how you mentioned how I was, bringing in my beliefs about Christianity and my beliefs in God. And you mentioned how I was doing it in a way that it's not preachy, but it just feels like a fluid conversation, that it's my belief. And honestly, it touched me for thinking like, I feel like I am doing my part in what my channel represents. And seeing that it's impacted you, and it's impacted um the Matt Cineflick, and then even to others who were like on there like that they were like thinking, wow, this is a crazy conversation, this is something that I wasn't expecting. The way how you described it, it made me think of that moment, and it made me think this is a beautiful thing, because that this is what happens when you write Christianity and you write Catholicism correctly. You write it in a way where it's a necessary narrative, and that's what I feel like in my conversations with you about it. This is like a necessary narrative, but doing it in a way where you're not only educating somebody about the Bible, especially for those who maybe they've fallen off and they've decided to go to the world, and maybe they wanted to just stray away from God, or maybe there's somebody that they've been misinterpreting the Bible, or maybe they don't even know anything about it, or maybe they just heard it but they don't know the truth of it. And my stories, my stories that I tell on the Bible, I mean, look, they're not my stories, they're God's stories, first of all, but I'm going to get them wrong sometimes, and I'll admit that, and I'm not perfect. But I am happy that I could be able to express it in a way where, like how Daredevil Born Again and Daredevil from Netflix, it does it in a way where it's natural. It's a fluidly flowing conversation where you don't have to be a Christian to talk about how this majorly ties in with the whole characteristic of Matt. It's in a way where it just feels like it's just there. It's natural. It's a beautiful feeling, and it doesn't feel like it's forced. So I do want to say thank you to you and to the Matt Cineflick for what your guys' conversation on that. It does make me feel like I'm doing my job as a YouTuber and as a Christian to be able to express it freely, and in a way that you say that it's in a way where it doesn't feel like I'm preaching it, but it's more of just like a conversation that it's between two people.
Yeah, amen to that, man. Honestly, I really appreciate you, shouting this out. I feel like my boy's gonna be really happy to hear that, and it was just a really fun conversation we had yesterday. It was just enlightening. It was a blessing, truly, because it's great to see people's different perspectives on this big concept, this big grand concept you know, of religion and how people really interpret that and how they apply that in their own lives, right? And people are not going to agree. There's going to be varying different religions and varying different beliefs that everyone's going to hold dear to. And at that point, there's nothing we can do and change that. And we can always do what we do. You put yourself out there, put your beliefs out there, and see whether or not those beliefs are challenged or accepted or rejected. It's just going to be that's the way how life is. And I think the best way we can go about that is having conversation and hearing these people out, because at the end of the day, we all have the ability to listen and to talk and communicate, even, some people who can or can't, right? They have the ability to communicate and share themselves and share themselves with other people, right? And I feel that's the blessing that we have with each other, with connection. And, it's a blessing that, we talk about this. It's a lot of fun. And it's a blessing, we can have fun talking about all the superhero stuff. And it's just all the superhero slop that is out these days, right? But we can also get down to the deep conversations about, our beliefs and what we hold dear to and what we continue to hold dear to or what we will change and those type of things, right? And yeah, it's just a lot of fun to share with that, to share more of ourselves. And yeah, I really got that vibe with you, and I got that vibe yesterday when we were having that conversation. Yeah, it was just an absolute blessing throughout.
I feel like a lot of religious beliefs and a lot of religions in general, I feel like they all believe the exact same thing in terms of morality, but it's just that's what makes it to a point where I feel like we don't get along with each other is the fact that we all see different deities and we see it in a way where it just feels like we feel like one's better than the other, but it's not because we're doing it out of boasting in that conversation. I do believe though that we all have different types of thoughts and different types of moral compasses that they align with each other. At the end of the day, they're all going to align with each other saying that, all that religion is that they want this sense of peace and they want this sense of feeling that they're safe and secure in an environment that they feel like there's so much chaos. Whether you believe in the Holy Spirit, you believe in meditation, or you believe in in chi, or in different things in as those who are Buddhists or Hindus or Catholics or anything, we all have the same beliefs. It's just we're gonna have different deities in those religions. Or personally, with Christianity, with all due respect, that I feel like it's more of a personal relationship with God. But I do feel like I'm justifying myself on that end because I firmly believe, I'm sticking up for God, and that's who I want to stick up for because, he's done so much for me. And in the way how those who believe in Buddhism and those who are Catholic and and those in other different religions that I can't think off the top of my head, that you guys are passionate about your deity and your religious beliefs. And it's a beautiful thing because regardless of whether I believe them or not, I respect them because of the fact that you guys and all of us who believe in religion or in a personal relationship with ourselves and whatever deity that we worship, it's a point to where it's not because it's a boastful thing, even though that a lot of people might find it as we're just boasting it from one perspective to another, but we stick up for our gods or whichever deity you worship, because we want to show how much that we care and love for that god or deity. And we're doing it because we're in this relationship, regardless of if you've been committed to it your whole life or you just became like a born again Christian, born again Catholic, born again Buddhist, or born again any other different one. So that's just my personal perspective on looking at things. And hopefully that you guys will have that same understanding and that perspective. And yeah, I would love for you guys to talk in the comments about why, why you believe in the things that you believe. And honestly, we would love to have personal conversations with you in the comments on why you want to, why you want to be able to share your love of that community or that religion or that belief with other people. And we want for you to be able to fully express yourself, because in a world where there's so much chaos, it's communities like these that bring people together in a wholesome manner to where we can be able to be civil about it and we can be able to get along with each other. Because as God wants for us to be loving our neighbors, we also have to love ourselves to take that first step to do so.
Amen to that. Honestly, I like to cap it off for me here. It's just a blessing. It's a blessing to have these conversations, and it's a blessing to be here and be present, right? And people, from how I've seen it my entire life or most of my life, right? The way how we've coped with religion's a way of how we cope with our lives and how these things and how they've really shaped us and how we truly cope and understand that, right? And it's not coping a bad thing or nothing like that. It's just something that we've used to understand what and why the world is the way it is. And and it's just really fun to see that with these different characters. It's fun to see that with y'all having these conversations with me and you. This is fun, and it's just great to have these conversations, and I'm just glad that we have conversations like this, right? Because it's the way how we're gonna deal with these situations, right? When we're out there in the world, it's it's very difficult because there's people who are just gonna be talking at you the entire time. It doesn't help. It's not productive. Same way as people just yelling at you, it doesn't help. And yeah, those type of things, those conversations, they don't matter when they're not willing to listen or you're not willing to listen. So, which is at that point, right? You just gotta stand firm to your beliefs or willing to be open minded as well. So, yeah, that's all I can really add to that. It's just, yeah, it's a blessing to be talking about this with y'all.
Absolutely. And with that, we're definitely going to close off this reaction for it, as we thank you guys for watching our reaction to Daredevil Born Again, Season 1, Episode 5. You guys want to see more reactions like this on my channel, please like, share, comment, and subscribe to the channel. If you guys want to follow me on any of my social media, you guys can definitely do so. I'm going to my Snapchat, my Instagram, my Twitter, AKX, my Discord, and my Discord server, with the links in the description below. And don't forget to also subscribe and follow and like, share, and comment to Real Hooper Knowledge's videos. He's just been an awesome friend, and he's been an extraordinary guest on these reactions. And honestly, I think it's been such a great pleasure and a great experience on being able to get to have these conversations with him and do these reactions. And it feels like two friends that have known each other since elementary school, and we've just grown up with each other over the years. And honestly, it's just been amazing. Is there anything that you want to plug in on your end?
I mean, honestly, you already plugged in the Discord channel. I appreciated that one, honestly. You can, what's it called? I'll just plug in the Discord in the link or in the comments if y'all want to chat, join in. It's just a ton of fun. The ID maker's there if y'all want to chat with him or many other friends. He chatted out my boy, Cineflick. That's my boy. I mean, and I hope that it's just we have a lot of fun there, and I hope y'all join. And yeah, my YouTube channel is always there. And I just hope to engage with y'all in the comments. I love responding to comments. It's just fun to do that. So yeah, that's all. That's pretty much it for me.
Alrighty, and with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. God bless you all. Stay safe, and we will see you all in the next reactions and then the next videos. Bye, guys.
All right, peace out.